Welcome to Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel. It chooses the movie and they discuss it. This week we're not doing that. We are doing another get to know the co-hosts. Last week we did me. This week we're doing the other co-host, Alec Lawless. Alec, welcome to the show.
Hey, that's me.
The man.
I'm here. Yeah. What's up?
You know, same old.
Yeah, so you're conducting the interview. That was the first time you've ever opened the show.
I've opened it one other time, and I think it was just because it was just me and Joe Testa.
The Crow.
Yep. Yeah. You know your stuff. Look at you.
I edited it.
I know.
I remember.
How'd I do on the intro? B+? I think with B. Maybe.
I can't remember. Oh, from this one or?
Yeah, this one. How'd I do? What do you think?
Yeah. I give it a solid B.
Okay.
B+. 87.
You're too kind. You're too kind. So let's kick this thing off. Get to know Alec Lawless, the co-host of Wheel of Horror. I'll just kick it off with this question. What got you into horror movies, horror in general, horror shows, horror?
Probably my mom. She, when I was younger, my parents got divorced and my mom kind of just was okay with showing us things that we were not supposed to be seeing at a young age. So I remember I saw The Exorcist when I was 8. I saw The Omen. I saw a lot of those 70s horror movies. And I'll never forget my grandma, my mom's mom. She got me Halloween, the 20th anniversary VHS. And she got me that for probably my 8th birthday or 9th birthday. And I remember being this is scary. This is the H2O. This is the one that's on TV. And she's like, oh, this is the old one. It's not scary. And I remember watching it and being this is so fucking scary.
Yeah, that was really scary.
So my mom showed me, The Shining, The Exorcist, all of these, before I was 10, Entity, all this stuff. And it scared me a lot. But I was so intrigued by it, so I was afraid of it, but I wanted to know more. So Blockbuster going in the horror aisles, but everything that was scary, I was interested, but afraid. And I'll give you 2 little examples of this is how bad I was. I could barely sleep. I was so afraid of horror movies. And I remember Bailey and I were at one of my dad's girlfriend's houses and she had us in the basement and we had bunk beds. And my dad had Bram Stoker's Dracula, the VHS. Just the VHS. It was down in the basement with us. And I had to take it out and put it upstairs to sleep because that's how scared I was of just the cover of that VHS. Same thing with Castlevania. I had to move it out of the room.
The video game?
The video game, yeah.
Jeez.
I was such a little bitch, dude.
Yeah, we all were. And I think that's why we were made for each other is because both of our parents kind of let us do things that, they didn't really look at the rating too much. I'll just say that.
My mom. My dad was pretty strict.
Yeah, I remember that. My mom, I had to beg her to let me rent movies and stuff like that. And my dad kind of just turned a blind eye.
Oh, I remember we got we convinced my grandma to buy Scarface on DVD, and we were watching it before my dad got home. We got home from school and we watched it, and he got home from work, and he's like, "What is this?"
Yeah, what, 6th grade, 7th grade, maybe, right?
Pretty young, and and my dad flipped out, and he took it. He's like, "Absolutely not!" And we're like, "Grandma got it for us." He's like, "I don't care."
That's great. So yeah, you love horror. You love it. You're not as scared about it anymore, but you love it, right? Yeah.
No, when I was a kid, it ruined me, but now it's I'm so desensitized.
Yeah, and we started this podcast together a few years ago, during the midst of the pandemic, just something to do. And this is a hobby that we do. It's not our job or anything. But I want to ask, what do you do now for work? I know most recently during the SAG strike, you've been creating these awesome animated shorts. Shout out Clickhead. If you go on the YouTube, type in Clickhead and watch these. I think there's only 2 up right now. There's going to be 3 shortly. These are freaking hilarious. So I just wanted to ask, what else have you been doing now for work?
Well, I've had a million jobs since high school. I started working at 14 and I've never stopped. So it's been a lot. The only time I didn't have a job is when I was living in London. But otherwise, I've 25 jobs probably.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking of everything. I mean, you used to do the golf caddying, right? Or at a golf club. That was one of your first gigs. Then you went to Hoyt's. No, you went to Bob's Stores.
Oh, let me do it.
Do it. Yeah. I want to know.
Yeah, so 14, I was a camp counselor at Black Point. So there was a camp there, so I was working there in the summers. Then when I got back, I started as a bag boy at Avon Golf Club, so I did that. Then I got hired at Bob's store and I was working there. Then I got hired at Hoyt's and FYE. It was Strawberries then.
Strawberries.
Yeah, so I
Yes.
was the new release guy at Strawberries. So I would set up all the display cases and put out the new CDs and DVDs and everything.
Tuesday nights, right? It was Tuesday nights
Well,
only.
I would only work Mondays, but then Tuesdays is when all the stuff would come out.
Right. So Tuesdays is when the DVD would release. That was, for some reason, Tuesdays were DVD release day. I remember that specifically.
Yeah, so I luckily, so like I would just go into Strawberries like all the time and just buy used DVDs, everything. And I became friends with the manager. And one day she was just like, "Do you want to just work here?" And I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, you get a discount. You're in here all the time." And I was just like, "Okay." So she only let me work there one day a week, but I got a 20% discount. I'd work at Hoyt's on the weekend. So Friday through Sunday I was at Hoyt's. Mondays I was at FYE. And I got the discounts. I got to see free movies. Like, it was awesome. Yeah. So anyways, after that, then I took college. Jesus Christ. I worked at Cheers in Boston. I worked at Bertucci's. I worked at Lisa Wilson Foley, the Republican lieutenant governor. Not a Republican. They just paid good. And so I worked during that in the summer.
And real quick, the Cheers thing, that was the original Cheers. Like, that was the Cheers. So that's kind of cool too. But then, yeah, I remember that political thing you did for a while. That was just, you're like, I don't even know what politics are. I'm just doing this for money. Like,
Yeah, it was good money. Yeah, and then after college, my grandfather owned a security guard company, so I was a guard, and then I worked in the office for a couple years, or for like a year and a half. Saved up a lot of money, moved to New York City, and then, yeah, dude, I just did a million jobs in New York, like too many to list. But anyways, right now I'm doing quality control for iTunes. So anything that goes on iTunes needs to be watched, make sure the subtitles work, all that stuff. So I do that during the day. It's great, work from home. And then I do a lot of voiceover work. So that's been like looking to make that my main gig eventually. And it's been going really well. Fortunately, we're on strike right now, so we can't do that anymore until it's over.
yeah, you're spending your time making all these great animated shorts in the meantime, just filling your time, which is just awesome. I love it.
Yeah, so Jack and I, my friend Jack, he's also a voiceover guy, also on strike. So yeah, we just really been buckling down and trying to do this improv animation stuff. And yeah, it's called Clickhead. There's 2 videos out now. The third one will be out before this episode gets released. So yeah. So check it out, because yeah, we're doing at least once a month. We're trying to aim for 2, but they do take a while. But they're super fun, and we're really proud of them. So yeah, check them out. Check them out.
Definitely. So yeah, next question. Tell us a little bit about your childhood. I mean, start with the fam. I think we've had your dad on for Friday the 13th at least. We've had your mom on for Midsummer and I think one of the Conjurings, right? Or what was it?
Dracula.
Dracula, right. The Bram Stoker's one with Gary Oldman. That was fun. So yeah, just tell me a little bit about your childhood growing up in the old Avon, Connecticut.
Yeah, well, same as you, man. I was born in Bristol, and then when I was like 2 or 3, my parents bought a house in Avon. My mom still lives in that house, and I have a younger brother named Bailey. He's like a year and a half younger than me. And my parents got divorced when I was pretty young. I was like 7. My dad got really sick. He had cancer, so it was wasn't super awesome for a couple years, but it was still good. It was a nice town to grow up in. Great schools, great people.
Like safest town in America, pretty much. Like,
It was in 2003. It was voted I think the 3rd safest town in the country, which is like, yeah. But my childhood, it was good. It was a good childhood. Obviously, there's things that I wish were different, but it is what it is, and I wouldn't be the person I am without the things that happened. So I'm happy for it. I love my family. My mom and dad are still here. They're both still in Avon. They grew up in Avon too, so they've been there a long. My grandfather was a cop in Avon, so we go way back.
The roots of Avon run thick in your family for sure. I'm not too far off. My mom's lived in Avon for going on 30 years, I think, and I've never left Connecticut. I've always lived in Connecticut, so I'm not too far off from that. But next question: how did you get to meet your fabulous co-host?
Actually, I have another brother.
Right, yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, I'm like, we got everyone on the podcast except your brochachos. So you have Bailey, you just mentioned, and you have,
and then I have my younger brother Jack, and he's 13 years or almost 13 years younger than me. So yeah, it's cool to see him growing up. He's almost 21, so that's pretty crazy. But yeah, so that's my immediate family. I do have a stepdad, a stepbrother, Landon and Matt, and my grandma and my other grandparents. So yeah. It's kind of small family, but yeah, they're good.
And your dad's more of a cat person, and your mom's more of a dog person.
Yep.
So I was gonna ask you, like, what are you, a cat or dog person? Like, if you had to pick.
Ooh,
Because you have a cat right now with your roommate, right?
My roommate has a cat, yeah. Dude, honestly, I mean, I think I prefer dogs, but the amount of effort that goes into having one, it almost seems like it's not worth it sometimes. For me, at least. Like, and that's like cats are just so freaking easy that like I get it, but I think I enjoy a dog more.
Mm.
But I don't
So
know.
you're a dog person, but you're like, you know about cats.
Dude, when I talk to people and they're like, "I'm hardcore team dog, hardcore team cat," I'm like, "Why?" Like they're both great for different reasons. But if I had to choose one to spend time with, probably a dog. But if I had to choose one to own, probably a cat.
Okay. Okay. And bringing back this question again, how'd you get to meet your fabulous co-host over here?
Yeah, dude. So we met. I mean, we knew each other before third grade, but we'd seen each other in classes and stuff. But then in third grade, I remember like you brought in Star Wars toys, and I was like, oh, I have Star Wars toys too. And we brought in our episode 1 toys, and like we just became like instant friends then. And then like Monster Squad, and just like from that point forward, I mean, we were just like,
Yeah, and I knew who you were in first and second grade, but I feel like we really didn't click until third grade.
we never were in class together. I think that's probably it.
Yeah, and I remember we used to in Mrs. Berger's class, we'd play War and all these board games and stuff, and we'd do like the Monster Squad Club. Like kids were playing Pokemon and whatever on the playground, and me and Alec were here playing Monster Squad, which like these teachers are like, "What the hell are these kids doing?" Right?
Well, it's funny because like, Dominic was in my first grade class, and then Mike was in my second grade class, and then you and Mike were in my third. Wait, was
Yeah.
Dominic in our third grade class too? Was he?
I don't remember. I don't know if Dom was. I was definitely in Dom's fifth grade class. I remember.
Yeah.
Too.
And I was in Mike's fifth grade class. Yeah. So it's like, we always were in each other's class, but yeah, third grade is like, we were talking about South Park and Monster Squad and just really connecting over.
That's the age where you get into trouble, and we sure did. We sure did.
Dude, I remember I went to the office twice in second grade for swearing.
I did too. I said Sean Higgins always tells that story about me saying shit in second grade for like an ant crawling on me. He always like tells that story. But what'd you say? What'd you say?
I don't remember, but I remember it was like me, Mike, like Connor McGovern, and like one other kid.
Yeah, that's such a name drop. I love it.
Dude, it was so random.
Oh,
And like
I love it.
we got and like Miss Bias just like yelled at us for our language, and it happened like a few times. And then also in first grade, I used to point with my middle finger, and the teacher thought I was like saying like fuck you to everybody, and I didn't know, so they called my parents in to like talk about it, and they're like, he's fucking 5, he has no idea what that means.
Love it. Yeah,
Anyway,
I mean that's a very interesting childhood to say the least. Back to horror for one bit. Do you have an all-time favorite horror movie or horror show?
Yeah, I mean, no, but I love The Shining, and I love Evil Dead. Like those are probably the two that come to my head first. The original first Evil Dead, but it's so hard, man. Because sometimes I'm in the mood for slasher, sometimes I'm in the mood for ghosts. So it's like it's just different. But yeah, if I had to pick a favorite, probably The Shining.
Yeah, that's a great pick, and I always think of you and Evil Dead all the time. Anytime I see like Evil Dead stuff, I'm like, oh, Alec loves this, like the video game coming out and everything, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I know, dude. Yeah, and I used to like Evil Dead, I think a little bit more, even like when we were younger, because like I thought it was over. Like I was like, oh man, like Army of Darkness, that's it. And now it's like, there's 5 movies, there's Ash vs. Evil Dead, there's video games, so it's like it's kind of become so mainstream that it's like, I don't know.
So it's a little like kooky now, almost. I think is the word, like a little like watered down. But I like we saw the remake, I think in 2013 together, and it was fantastic. I love the remake. That was really scary.
Oh yeah, no, I like that it's like more present in the cultural zeitgeist, but still like for some reason in my mind it always felt like, ooh, this is like my little special thing that like only cool people know about, but now like everybody knows about it. But it's fine.
Nice. And then on the favorite horror movie discussion, what's your favorite movie of all time? It hurts.
Man.
I know it's a tough.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Like you're like huffing and puffing like it's Sophie's Choice right now. It's like, oh boy.
Movies are like my favorite thing in the world, so it's like, but Star Wars is like my favorite. It's the thing that like defines so much of my life, but I know it's not like the best film ever made. I mean, I don't know, man. The movie that I like find myself just going back to constantly is like Goodfellas and like Blade Runner. Like those 2 movies I'm just like constantly watching.
I always thought you were a big Planet of the Apes fan too.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, you were like obsessed with Planet of the Apes. I remember that.
I liked the first one, the 1968 one. I
Yeah.
bought because dude, when I worked at FYE, I got they had so many used movies, so I bought like the first 5 Planet of the Apes movies, and after Escape from Planet of the Apes, I was like, these are kind of starting to get weird. So, but like Evil Dead, like I was like, oh, it's this trilogy of just like such good trilogy, but. Yeah, Planet of the Apes, the original one's amazing. The 68 one, we should cover that because I'd consider that like sci-fi horror, but Rod Serling
It's
wrote
scary.
that.
If you think about it, it is a scary subject.
Yeah, it's a Twilight Zone writer. He wrote it too, so it's very good.
Throw it on there. Great answer. And then I'd say, this is me answering this question for you. That 2 TV shows come to mind when I think of you, and one is South Park, obviously, and the other one is Twin Peaks. Would you say those are your top 2 shows, or is there something else in there?
I mean, South Park's probably my favorite thing of all time for ever. Like I mean, we grew up with that. Like
I think that movie influenced us, the way we laugh, the way we do things. Like that show completely changed us at a very young. We watched the premiere. We were watching that in 3rd grade.
I mean, literally, like, it's my favorite thing of all time. And it's something that's never waned or made me upset. Like, Star Wars pisses me off constantly, but South Park's something that I just always go back to. I mean, literally, I get emotional when I watch the concert. Like, it's just such a big part of my life. So yeah, South Park definitely, I think, takes the cake over everything. But Twin Peaks is something I discovered like, in my early 20s. And it's just something clicked in me when I saw that, like the music, just the atmosphere. I just really super got into David Lynch after seeing it. And I actually just went to Twin Peaks last week. And dude, it was so cool. It was amazing. We got the cherry pie and the coffee and just getting to go to the diner, getting to go to the hotel and see the waterfall. Like it was really cool. So I was, I'm glad that like that exists and that people actually care enough about it to have it be like a thing.
Totally.
But yeah, Twin Peaks and South Park. Yeah.
Word. All right. I was just wondering if there was anything else sprinkled in there, but I think those are your top 2 for sure, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about high school, your childhood. So after high school, you went to Suffolk in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, in high school, you and I were doing theater. We were doing a lot of just like shorts, like the Eric and Alex show, stuff that we talked about in your episode, we have to get back into. But I went to Suffolk and I just wanted to go to a city. I just wanted to see what like, life was like outside of our little town in Connecticut. But I didn't want to go too far because I had a girlfriend and my family's there. So like 2.5 hours, I was like, whatever, it's far enough. So go to Boston, and there was a day, it was the same as you. It was like a big fair, basically, at our school, like a club fair. And I just was walking down, it's called Temple Street, and I was just walking down it, and this guy, Mitch, he just looks at me, he's like, hey, man, you look funny. And I was like, yeah? And he's like, yeah, man, are you funny? And I was like, I maybe, I think I am. And he's like, why don't you audition for improv? And I was like, okay. And I just did. And I went in and auditioned. They had 3 rounds of callbacks, and I actually ended up getting on the team, not realizing like how big of a deal this improv troupe was at the school. They were called Seriously Bent. And we immediately started like traveling to different areas around the state and competing in improv tournaments. And then we ended up going to the finals in Chicago every year that I was in school. So it was like, we were getting just like the best improv experience. They were partnered with Improv Asylum, which is like the biggest improv school in Boston. So we had the teachers from there coming to teach us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We had a show every Thursday and Saturday. So we were constantly performing, constantly rehearsing. And it ended up that like me and the other guy who got on, we ended up becoming like the hosts for every event on campus. So like, if there was a fundraiser, if there was an alumni event, if there's anything on campus, for some reason, we became the guys that were like the MCs hosting it. So we became like pretty well known on campus, and it was a really fun experience for me. So same as you, I can't recommend this enough. Just get involved in something as soon as you can.
Right away. Because everyone's searching for friends, like in college. So
and you make great friends, but also even if they're not friends in that club, you could be in the club with somebody and then their roommate ends up becoming your best friend. So like, just get involved in something. It'll take you out of your comfort zone. That's what college is about, experiencing different and new things that help you figure out what you like. If you just stay in your lane, your comfort zone, you're never going to accomplish anything that you feel good about. At least that's what I think, at least.
This went from a getting to know podcast to just motivational speaking, and I love it.
Well, you had a great experience with rugby and you made a lot of great friends. You met your wife. I made a lot of great connections through doing improv, and it made me pursue it even farther into what I'm doing now, So
Yeah.
it's great to get involved. So yeah, Suffolk was fun, dude. I had a great time. Did very well in school. Had a job, had a girlfriend. It was fun. It was a really good time. And I studied abroad.
Yeah, and I visit you a ton. Like especially during the fall. Like I hate coming up during the winter because it was windy and cold up in Boston. But
Oh
I
yeah,
used to love coming up like the fall, in October and stuff. And you would also come visit me at school, and it was just a great way to just experience all different kinds of college stuff. And then so after college, like every millennial, including me, we were boomerangs, and we moved back with our parents for like a year or two. And you got into security guarding and managing security with your grandfather. Just wanted to bring that up and start that segment into your life there.
yeah. So after I graduated college, I was dead set on going to LA. I was like, I'm gonna move there, but I didn't have any money, so I needed to save. And my grandfather's like, come work, for me in the office and save up some money. So worked there for a year, lived at home, and it was very stressful, like way more stressful than I thought it was going to be, obviously, because it was my grandfather's like livelihood. It wasn't some like nameless corporation I was working for. So I felt very invested in doing the best I could. And I just put so much on myself, and I was drinking a lot, and just like, yeah, it wasn't the best year and a half, but it made me toughen up and like, just, I don't know, become responsible, I think, pretty quick. So yeah, didn't love it, but it was good because I was able to like get you, Zach, Mike, a bunch of Justin, a bunch of people jobs right out of college that like, were.
Yeah, we needed a couple bucks, man. Like
Yeah.
we were guarding, but you went from like college graduate to straight up like full-time management, like stress. I remember that was
Yeah.
a really tough time for you, and definitely your drinking was really bad. But and then you were still dating your girlfriend at the time, and then so you left security, and then where'd you go? I mean, right after that, you went to
New York.
yeah, buddy.
Yeah, so the reason that happened, I was dead set in LA, and then my friend Zach, he did Frankenstein on here. He was a casting director for The Wolf of Wall Street, and he was like, "Hey man, do you want to like come be an extra in The Wolf of Wall Street or whatever?" And I was just like, "Yeah." So went to New York and did that for like weeks. Like it was a long time. I was just kind of going out, sleeping on couches, driving back and forth from like upstate New York, and I got to do that for a while. And it was cool. I got like, SAG eligible from doing that. And I spent so much time in New York that I was like, you know what? I'm going to move here. I like New York. So moved there from 2013 until 2019. Yeah, 19. So I was there for 6 years, and, super fun, dude. I mean, just too much to talk about in this podcast, but really got to see what the acting world was like. I was not taking it as seriously as I should have, for sure. I was drinking way too much, partying too much, didn't know the route I was supposed to take, what I was supposed to be doing. But, got managers, got agents, got a couple roles, booked a few commercials, did a bunch of stuff.
I mean, you mentioned you're just going to mention SNL, right? I was just going to chime in there. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned your improv group going to Chicago. Second City, right, is where it was, right?
Yeah, it was at Second City, and it was at Improv Olympics. That's where the finals were for the college improv tournaments.
Yeah, so years later, you're in New York, Brooklyn area, and you land the SNL gig. I mean, multiple stand-in events, Jimmy Fallon stuff. I remember all the things you had, and every other week you're sending me, "Hey man, check this out! Look what I did! Look at this! I got this going on." I'm like, how the hell? This guy's a bouncy ball. This guy is completely just killing it.
Well, I mean, it was, dude. It's so hard because if you don't know somebody in this industry, it's very difficult to chip your way in. So you got to you really have to do it all. You have to be a writer, you got to be a director, you got to be acting, you got to do improv, you got to do everything to figure out what sticks and what works, at least in my experience. So yeah, I was doing sketches with a lot of people that I was doing improv with. We were performing improv in the city, and then one day I was on an acting website and it said like, "Do you want to do a background for SNL?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, I love SNL. Like, I don't care like about background work, but I was like, this will be fun, like just to get to see what it was like." So I did it one day, and then I got a call from one of the casting people there, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to be Taron Killam's stand-in because you look like him, and we saw you on set today?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah." So I would go and do that. I would be his body double for the pre-taped sketches, and then I would be a stand-in when they were doing the live show and stuff like that. So that turned into this like weekly thing where I was going to SNL, going to 30 Rock, going all over like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, to all of these various locations that they had rented to film. So I was just like freaking out. I got to see
While
like,
while still partying in your mid-20s. I remember you were in a party mood at that time.
oh, I was drinking a lot, but you know, it led to just getting to be a body double for so many different actors like Benedict Cumberbatch and Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers
Mhm.
and John Mulaney and Taron Killam. So I got to do this for a couple years, man. And anytime you did body double work, you'd get residual checks. So it was just like the best gig ever. Taron Killam left the show, so I stopped doing it as much after he left, but then randomly, because I used to host this like pet product giveaway show.
Oh my god, I remember that.
Yeah, so I'd be in like Central Park and like doing trivia questions to people, like man on the street style, and giving away pet products. And randomly, I was doing it, and there's this woman, and she was wearing a Broadway video shirt, and that's the production company that does SNL. And I was like, "Oh, do you work for them?" She's like, "Yeah, I work for Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon." I was like, "Oh, nice! I just did body doubling for Jimmy Fallon." She's like, "You did?" I was like, "Yeah, like last weekend." She's like, "Jimmy needs a new body double for the show. Like, do you want to come do it this weekend for the Tonight Show?" I was like, "Oh yeah." So like weird little things like that just would happen to me, and that kind of just led into like more stuff. So I did that for a little while, and then I left New York, shortly after.
Yeah, I remember that Jimmy Fallon thing. You were literally like doing like kind of risky stuff, like falling off a piano or something, right? And like doing like trust falls or something, right? Like
It was for the Will and Grace reboot, like extended trailer. So they had this like long dance number and all this stuff. So I had to like be Jimmy Fallon while they were prepping it and having all the, side dancers figuring out the routines and stuff like that. But yeah, I was like on top of the piano, jumping off the piano, having people catch me. Like it
trust
was
falls.
pretty.
You're literally doing trust falls for a while. No, that's crazy. But yeah, man, you've put in your hard work over the years, and you've definitely fine tuned your skills. And as I've watched you over the years, just grow into such a professional, it's just nice to see, And you keep in touch with so many good friends from Brooklyn, from college, from LA. Like the Jack Baca, you did Equity Arcade for a while, which was like a little what was that? Can you explain that real quick?
Yeah, that was a great time. That was weird. So basically, the company was essentially Kickstarter. That's a donation-based platform. So if you want to see something get made on Kickstarter, you donate it, and that's it. You throw your money into it, and you're like, I hope this gets made. This idea was an investment-based platform for video games. So if you're like, hey, I believe in this video game, I want to invest in it and see a return on my investment. That was the whole idea of it. That was the business side. I was the media channel guy. So like Jack and I were like doing podcasts, doing like live streaming Twitch stuff. We were just like trying to drum up interest in the idea so that we would have a large like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, like all that following. And then we could be like, hey, do you guys like want to invest and make money from video games? So it was like a bait and switch. It was like, hey guys, come hang out with Jack and Alec as we just like play video games and talk shit all the time.
Yeah, I remember he did a 24-hour Twitch one time, and I hopped on like really late at night when he was like an hour like 20, and he's just like dying, and I'm like, hey man, I was just keeping him company.
It was so, dude. I mean, if you could ask Jack about it, it was the craziest like year, dude. It was.
I bet.
I won't say anything about a lot of the stuff, but like, dude, we were just flying all over the country. We were going to like San Francisco to Boston, LA, and just going to all these conventions, and it was a lot of drinking, a lot of stuff. But
Yeah.
it was fun. It was just all video game stuff, so it's cool.
Bringing up my next point, so I don't know, we'll wrap up in a bit. I won't take it too much longer. But 3 unique things about you that I find are kind of interesting. This is just from me and special about you. One is that you're sober. You've been sober how long? 5 years?
Well, I don't drink.
You don't drink, yes. I know you're Cali sober, but you
Yeah.
you are free of alcohol for 5 years, about ish, maybe longer.
Yeah, February 11th will be my 5 year. So yeah, we're getting there.
Amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's possible, people. It's possible. Believe me, I never thought I could quit, and then here we are. So it's possible.
You bet. One other thing about you is you pee a lot. I mean, that's just something about you. No one goes to the bathroom like Alec Lawless. He goes to the bathroom a lot, and for a long time. You need to donate your body to science. That's all I got to say. And then one other thing, you take germs seriously. I don't think you're a germaphobe, but you are very clean, and you always wash your hands, and you are very like, no, this is disgusting. You've like made me a cleaner person just being around you. So ladies, take some notes. And then other point I wanted to bring up, you're single, right?
Yeah, there's one huge thing you missed.
What'd I miss?
My diet.
Oh my goodness, I forgot you are a vegetarian. That's right. I mean, I'm just so sick of talking about it, but after 30 years of knowing you.
I've been a vegetarian, for 27 years.
Oh man, yeah, it's great. No, you were the first vegetarian I even heard of, I think. Like,
yeah, it was tough in the 90s, dude. It was really weird back then for vegetarians. But
every kid's birthday party was pepperoni pizza. And the thing is, the parents would get the pepperoni and the cheese, but then all the fucking kids would get the cheese pizza, right?
I was like, oh, everybody would make fun of you if you're vegetarian. I'm like, why is the meat the only thing left then? If it's so good, if it's so fucking good. No, but yeah, no, but it's been a long time. I believe in animal rights. That's the main thing. So, anyways, I don't talk about it very much on here. So.
No, you don't. I mean, there's been a couple of movies where it's come up and stuff. Biggest pet peeve? Do you have a biggest pet peeve off the top of your head?
I just thought of one today, actually. I kind of texted you about it, but cologne and perfume that stays in a room hours after the person's left.
That's good.
That old lady perfume smell where you're like, why is it smelling here? Oh, my grandma was in here like 4 days ago. Or I just had something happen to me, recently where I'm like, wow, that is strong cologne.
Well, yeah, it's like, all right, I can taste the chemicals off you right now. Yeah.
Literally. Yeah, like rooms away. I was like, it smells like my room has cologne in it. Anyway, so that's a pet peeve that came up today.
Okay. Is there an actor who you would want to portray you in a movie, and who would you want that to be? If you could pick one actor to portray you. Sorry, kind of flubbled that.
I mean, I think I'm too young. I don't know if there's any like younger actors that I could imagine, but a guy that I like that I think would be cool would be like Bill Hader.
Yeah, and like reverse, like if he was younger than you, and Bill Hader. Yeah, it's a good choice. I like that choice.
If I was like 50, I'd be like, I want Bill Hader to play me. But now it's like he's playing like 15 years younger, so I don't know. Yeah. But
who doesn't love Bill Hader, right?
Yeah, if I could have anybody's career, it'd be him for sure. Dude, he wrote on South Park, was on SNL, has his own show Barry, which is really good. Like that guy.
He's in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's like one of my favorite movies. Like he's so good.
He's in Star Wars. He's BB-8. Dude, the guy has my dream. My dream career is Bill Hader.
Yeah. Did you know he was a production assistant on I forgot what Arnold Schwarzenegger movie it was, but look up. I think he does an interview with like Letterman or somebody or Conan, and it's just so funny with him talking about like meeting Arnold and being like a production assistant or something, and it's just good. I mean, he started out small, man, too, so you never know. But next question, and I know we got to wrap up in a bit. What's your favorite memory of you and me?
Wow.
All-time favorite, best time. What is it?
Jesus. Oh my God.
That bad, huh?
No, there's so many. That's the thing. I'm like, this is a big question. I don't want to say the wrong thing and then be like, oh, I meant this later. But I mean, Hawaii was really fun, dude. I mean, we saw so many cool things in Hawaii. That was like the time, especially like that time too. Like it was right like the second we graduated college. So we were just like super carefree at that time. That was just really fun. And that wasn't about like hooking up with girls. That was just
no, we both had girlfriends at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So it was about like just bros hanging out, doing fun things on an island,
and drinking pineapple drinks and stuff.
Like, I think that was legit. I'm not even kidding. I think that was one of the worst hangovers I've ever had. Or maybe the first real hangover I ever had that kind of like set it in motion, being like, okay, you are officially 22 and this is when it starts. So
and then you need to keep drinking the hair of the dog to get this. Yeah, that was a wild time and very fun. And I mean, I would say like same thing, Hawaii, Amsterdam, all the other things we've done. Like anytime we go somewhere, Martha's Vineyard, dude, we have so many good memories.
Vacations have always been really fun. I always love that. And then, making Mission Impossible, man, I mean, even though it's not the best movie, it was still like, what cool. An accomplishment to look back on and be like, dude, we made an hour and 45-minute movie for like $5,000
on a shitty MacBook. And we both killed ourselves to make that just barely. Like in 2 months, dude.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's not great. It's not horrible either, but it's not great.
Try to make a better film for $5,000 in 2 months.
Yeah.
You can't.
Maybe with iPhones and stuff now it's easier. Like we had, I mean, dude, we got cameras from my school. Like we, had all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
You don't need now, so this is before iPhones really, but anyway, so probably Hawaii and just finishing Mission Impossible.
Great. Yeah. And I just want to wrap it up in a bit, but take it from me, all you listeners out there. I find Alec to be one of the funniest people in the world. There's something about when we get together, we won't go there, but I just think there's no one else who can make me laugh out loud as hard as you do. We have all these memories, funny moments to look back on, hopefully many more. I know you're how many thousands of miles away, but I gotta get myself out West Coast way and see you again once I get more situated with my career and some other stuff. But yeah, man, just wanted to wrap up. If there's anything else you want to say or mention about your get to know.
No, man.
Do you want to talk about alopecia at all? Do you want to talk about that or?
I mean, it's a thing. I've got it. I've got random bald spots like on my chest and my chin. It's weird.
Do you have eczema?
No.
I have eczema, so I just want to know if you're part of the Eggy Club, as I like to call it.
No, just random alopecia that comes and goes. And even when I'm doing the best of my life, I'll have it. And my doctor's like, "Oh, you must be stressed." And I'm like, "I feel great." And then times where I'm like so stressed, I don't have any. So I'm like, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
Love it.
But no, I mean, I guess right now, I'm living in LA. A strike's going on. Been doing some voiceover stuff. You can check out some of my stuff. A lot of it's on my website. You can check that out. But definitely, thing I'm most proud of probably is Halo. That's just one thing that I just like.
Right, I forgot to mention that. That's a totally epic, dude. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, you and I and like all of our friends growing up, we used to play Halo like nonstop. Like beach, at the beach, all those kids would play it. So it was just a lot of fun. And then when I moved out to LA, I actually got to be in Halo. So that for me was like the biggest, I don't know, moment where I was like, you know what? This is okay. I made the right choice. If I could be in Halo, I was happy about it. So I don't know, kids. I'm basically just saying, follow your dreams because maybe you can be a grunt in Halo.
You sound like Gary Busey. Didn't he tell you that once, to follow your dreams?
Yeah, he did in an audition. He just walked in. I was sitting in an audition and Gary Busey just walked in and he just grabbed everyone's attention and just went, "Follow your dreams and everything will come true." And then he just walked out. He put his arms out and walked out backwards. And then everyone just slowly started clapping. Or like,
I'd clap.
Yeah.
I needed that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was nice. But anyways, so that's me in a nutshell,
Crazy, dude. Like we said, you're a bouncy ball of awesomeness. And you've been around the block, dude. Pull all your future endeavors and everything, man. And I hope we can continue to do this wheel horror as long as we can, because it's a ton of fun. And thank you for everyone for chiming in. Alec, next week, what do we have, or this week?
Well, Clockwork Orange got destroyed, so we're gonna have to record that one again. So Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, all right. So everyone, we'll see you guys next week for a Clockwork Orange.
Woo!
There you go. I was hoping for that.